Today we're cooking a whole farm stand worth of fresh fruit and some great desserts. A classic brown Betty, a humble cobbler, an elegant tart, and some fun turnovers. These recipes are the perfect way to take advantage of sweet, ripe, fresh fruit. For our first recipe, we piled juicy red plums in a cornmeal crust that is buttery and crumbly. The filling is made with just 3 ingredients, and the tart is easy to prepare and shape. This rustic plum tart has charm and a sweet appeal.
John and I have been baking together for almost 10 years, and one summer we created a beautiful plum tart at Skylands that used plum cots, pluots, and red and black plums. We shingled the gorgeous fruit over a buttery tart dough and sprinkled it with sugar. Do you remember how delicious that was,
It was very
John?
delicious and very colorful.
It was, and big.
It was very big. I think they were like 30 inches almost in diameter.
Oh, it's fantastic.
But anyway, today we're going to do a rustic plum tart with a cornmeal crust.
And I love the crunchiness of the cornmeal.
Exactly, and then sprinkle it with sanding sugar on top, and it's going to be just spectacular.
Well, John found some wonderful plums,
yes.
And these are dinosaur plums, and they're freestone and very easy to slice, John.
Right, and I'm going to start on the crust with a cup of spooned and leveled all-purpose flour, a 1/4 cup of fine cornmeal. We didn't want it too coarse because it really is just a little too gritty, and then a 1/2 teaspoon of salt and sugar. And this is basically your pâte brisée recipe that we've adapted with the cornmeal.
Right, it's great.
So,
the perfect pie crust.
Exactly. And then let's give that a quick whirl. And then a stick of butter that's been cubed and refrigerated so it's extra cold.
Icy cold?
It is so icy cold. And then, as you know, just give it a nice little pulse. And then ice water.
John has an immense amount of knowledge when it comes to baking, and I've always learned a lot working with him, and I hope he deserves that.
Yes, I have. In fact, this pie crust is yours. So I just added 2 to 3 tablespoons of icy cold water, and then I just continue to pulse this just until it holds together.
Do you find weather has some effect on the
Absolutely.
texture?
I keep trying to say that to everyone, that flour can act like a sponge and absorb all the humidity in the room. And so you can see here how this just held together
it's
nicely.
Gorgeous.
So I forget who came on the show and told us how to hold the bottom of that blade, and it made so much sense.
I did.
Was that you?
Yes, it was.
Okay, so
I hate that blade falling out and cut. You know, it can cut you.
Absolutely. And then we just bring that together, use the corners so we don't have to touch it too much, and that's it. Now this one needs to refrigerate for an hour, but I already have one ready that we can use now.
So I got the plums all cut up really fast.
So then you can finish it with 1/2 cup of sugar and the 1 tablespoon of flour.
And the flour is there to thicken the juices of those wonderful plums.
Right. Remember we used tapioca once.
Yep.
We used cornstarch.
Tapioca is effective.
Right. And one of the things I tried to tell everyone that it's so much easier to roll in one direction and rotate the dough as opposed to turning your pin in a lot of different directions.
Right. It's so sensible to roll that way. And here's the plums are beautiful.
You know, and one thing that I always add to there is, you know me.
That's right, a pinch of salt.
But that's not in the recipe, but it's one of our favorite things to do.
Yep,
So
there it goes. Scant, like a 1/4 teaspoon, right?
yeah, this is going to be about 14 inches.
And you're using the same mahogany baton that I
Yes.
love so much.
This is mine. I brought it from home.
Yep. So I'll just
Right in the
mound
center.
these up.
Exactly. And then
Beautiful.
perfect. And then you can also add a little lemon juice if you want, or, you know, depending on the fruit. We're talking about
Pretty tart. So you
adding
don't-
berries. So now, if you want to just get that egg wash, you just
Okay.
fold up these corners nice and evenly, or just make it look as pretty as possible. So that's just an egg yolk with a tablespoon of water. That's going to help give the crust a nice golden brown on the outside.
And I like that you're using parchment.
Yes. Well, it's a nice thing to do for cleanup, and it also gives a little bit of air under that tart. That little tiny space actually will help cook the tart much better on the bottom.
And do you use a convection oven, John, for this, or just a regular baking
You know what?
oven?
We've only been using the oven straight, and we're finding that we're getting really good results. And then just sanding sugar This is one thing I definitely learned from you, is how wonderful sanding sugar is for texture and for color. And
everybody loves that crunchiness in the crust. So you're getting a double crunch in this one because you have a little bit of cornmeal and a little bit of that glistening sugar. And it makes it pretty.
It's beautiful.
Yeah,
so now this is going into a 400-degree oven, about 40 to 45 minutes.
Looks good.
Fantastic. You want me to bring it to the oven, or you want to go to the oven?
Great-looking rustic plum tart. It looks good.
It looks delicious.
Big piece, little piece?
I want a big piece.
Okay. Hear that crunch through the sugar and through the cornmeal? That big?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, one whole section. That is so beautiful.
Well, you can see that it even baked right under these little seams that we made. Perfect plums.
That's for you. And I have to have a much smaller piece.
Ah, it's still warm.
It is beautiful. It's really perfect.
And you can still see the little flecks of the cornmeal in there.
Can you look underneath? See the nice color? That is really the way it should be. Oh, cream.
Okay.
Have to have cream. Softly whipped cream or whipped creme fraiche with a little bit of vanilla and sugar in it. Little bit. That is really gorgeous. This might be one of my very, very, very favorite tarts.
What do you think of the crust?
Superb.